Tiana had always dreamed of something more. She wasn't looking for riches or fame, just a quiet life with someone who truly saw her. Someone who would hold her hand, laugh at her jokes, and sit beside her when the days felt long. Back in Nigeria, she worked hard as a school secretary. The pay wasn't great, but she managed. Still, deep inside, she felt lonely. Most nights, she'd go home, eat alone, and stare out the window thinking, there must be more to life than this. One day, while scrolling on her phone, an ad popped up. Find love abroad. Real men looking for real relationships. She rolled her eyes at first. It sounded strange, desperate even, but curiosity got the better of her. She clicked, read a few stories, and saw pictures of smiling couples. Women who looked like her, standing next to men from other countries, arms around each other like they'd known love forever. Tiana filled out the form. Weeks passed before she got a reply. His name was Daniel, a software engineer from Kansas. He was in his late 30s, no kids, never married. He wrote long messages, asked about her day, sent pictures of his dog and his backyard garden. At night, they'd talk for hours, sometimes about music, sometimes just about what they'd eat if they were together. He called her beautiful. He made her laugh. And slowly, he made her believe. I want you to come here, Daniel said after 3 months. I'll take care of everything. The visa, the flight, the papers. Just come and let's build something real. Tiana's heart raced. It felt fast. It felt risky. But her gut didn't scream no. Instead, it whispered, maybe this is it. She told her family. Her sister was nervous. Her mother said, just be careful. But they supported her. In less than 2 months, her visa was ready. Daniel had sent the ticket. She packed her small suitcase, some dresses, photos of her family, and a lot of hope. The flight was long. Her heart beat faster with every mile. When she landed at the airport, she searched for his face in the crowd. And there he was, holding a small sign with her name on it. He smiled. She smiled back. But something felt off. His hug was short. His eyes didn't light up the way they used to during video calls. He looked distracted, checking his phone every few minutes. They drove in silence most of the way to his house. Still, Tiana told herself it was just nerves. Maybe he was shy in person. Maybe things would feel better the next day. But they didn't. At dinner, he barely spoke. He made excuses to work. No sweet words. No laughter. No warmth. By day 3, he looked her straight in the eyes and said, I didn't think you'd be this dark. Tiana froze. She couldn't speak. She felt her heart crack in half. She had flown across the world for love, only to be rejected for the color of her skin. Tiana sat quietly on the edge of the bed in Daniel's guest room, staring at her suitcase. It was still half unpacked. She hadn't even had the energy to hang up her clothes. Daniel's words from the night before played over and over in her mind. I didn't think you'd be this dark. It felt like a slap, not just to her skin, but to her soul. All those sweet messages, those promises gone. She thought maybe he was just nervous at first, but now she could see it clearly. He didn't want her. Not really. She barely slept that night. She kept thinking, what do I do now? Go back home, call my family, and tell them I made a huge mistake? She didn't even have enough money for a return ticket. She had trusted Daniel. She thought he meant everything he said. By the next morning, things only got worse. You can't stay here much longer, Daniel told her over breakfast. He didn't even look at her as he said it. This isn't working. I don't feel the connection I thought I would. Tiana felt her stomach twist. She couldn't eat, couldn't speak. He was already moving on, scrolling through his phone like she was just an item he ordered online and wanted to return. By noon, he booked her a room at a cheap motel on the edge of town. He handed her a few $100s in cash and dropped her off without saying much. Good luck, he said before driving away. Just like that, Tiana was alone in a new country. No friends, no job, no idea what to do next. The motel room was small, cold, and smelled like cigarette smoke. She sat on the bed, phone in hand, thinking about calling her sister. But what would she say? I flew to America and got dumped because of my skin? Shame held her back. For the next few days, she lived off granola bars and bottled water. She counted every dollar, unsure how long it would last. She walked around during the day, hoping to find a job, any job. She knocked on restaurant doors, small shops, even gas stations. Most people barely listened. Finally, on the 5th day, she walked into a small diner just off a quiet road. A tired-looking woman stood behind the counter, wiping glasses. "I don't have papers yet," Tiana said quickly, "but I can clean, cook, anything. I just need a chance." The woman looked at her, not unkindly, just cautious. "Name?" she asked. "Tiana. You ever wash dishes?" "Yes. Every day at home." The woman sighed and tossed her a rag. "The back sink's full. Get to it. I'll pay you cash. Small, but it's something." Tiana smiled for the first time in days. It wasn't much, but it was a start. She wasn't going to give up. Not yet. Every morning, Tiana woke up before the sun. The small motel room was cold, and the blanket was too thin. But she got up anyway, pulled her hair into a bun, and walked 15 minutes to the diner. Her hands were rough from scrubbing pans, and her shoes had started to wear out, but she didn't complain. Work kept her going, kept her mind off the pain. The diner was small, with squeaky stools and old country music playing from a dusty radio. Linda, the owner, was tough but fair. She didn't ask too many questions, but she noticed everything. "You work hard," she told Tiana one morning, handing her a buttered biscuit. "Thank you," Tiana said softly. It was the first kind thing anyone had said in a while. Tiana cleaned tables, washed dishes, and sometimes helped with simple meals. Her arms ached at the end of the day, but at least she had food and a little cash. One slow afternoon, the diner door opened, and a tall man walked in. He had a quiet look, like someone who didn't talk much unless he had to. He wore a dusty cap and boots, and his hands looked like they belonged to someone who worked the land. He sat at the far end of the counter, ordered black coffee, and didn't say much else. But his eyes followed Tiana as she moved around the room. "That's Cole," Linda said later. "Farmer. Owns a big piece of land outside town. Keeps to himself." Tiana nodded, not thinking much of it. She was too tired for small talk or dreams. But Cole came back. Every few days, he'd sit in the same spot, drink his coffee, and leave a generous tip. Sometimes he asked about the weather. Once he asked where she was from. "Nigeria," she answered, wiping the counter. "Long way from here," he said. "Yeah," she said quietly. "Long story." He didn't press, just nodded. After a week, he waited until the place was empty, then asked her, "You looking for more work?" Tiana looked up, confused. "Why?" "I need help on the farm. Planting, cleaning, feeding animals. Nothing fancy. I'll pay fair. There's a spare room in the house if you need a place to stay." Tiana hesitated. She didn't know him, but something about Cole felt steady, honest. "Can I think about it?" she asked. "Sure," he said, standing up. "But don't take too long. Spring's coming fast." When he walked out, Linda gave her a look. "He's quiet, but he's good people," she said. "If he says he'll help, he will." That night, Tiana sat in her motel room, staring at the ceiling. She didn't know where this new path would lead. But maybe, just maybe, it was time to take another small step forward. Tiana stood at the edge of the large open field, staring at rows of soil stretching far into the distance. The early morning air was cool, and the smell of fresh earth filled her nose. She tightened her jacket around her and took a deep breath. This was her first day on Cole's farm. He had picked her up that morning in his dusty old truck. He didn't say much during the ride, just pointed out a few landmarks, a barn here, a tractor there. But Tiana didn't mind the silence. It was better than fake smiles and empty promises. "We'll start with the tomatoes," Cole said, handing her a pair of gloves. "Then move to the corn rows. Just take your time. Don't rush." The work was hard. Bending, digging, planting. Her back ached before noon, and dirt got on her nails. But there was something peaceful about it, too. She was doing something real, something honest. Cole worked beside her. Not like a boss, but like someone who respected her effort. He didn't shout, didn't hover, just worked quietly, showing her how to care for each seedling like it mattered. During lunch, they sat on a wooden bench behind the barn. He handed her a sandwich and a bottle of water. "You're strong," he said simply. Tiana smiled, surprised by the compliment. "Thank you. My mama raised tough girls." He nodded. "I can tell." After a few days, she started to find a rhythm. She woke up early, helped in the kitchen, and then spend hours in the field. Cole began opening up more, slowly. He told her about his parents, how they passed away years ago and left him the farm. "I've been running it alone ever since," he said. "Some days it's peaceful. Some days it's just quiet." Tiana nodded. "I know the kind of quiet." One evening, after they finished feeding the animals, Cole showed her a small hill behind the barn. "This is my thinking spot," he said. "Good place to watch the sky." They sat side by side, not touching, not talking much. The sky turned orange and pink as the sun went down. Tiana felt calm for the first time in weeks. She looked at Cole. He wasn't handsome in the usual way, but there was something kind in his eyes, something real. "Thank you," she said softly. "For what?" he asked. "For giving me a chance. For seeing me." He looked at her for a long moment. "Anyone with eyes can see you, Tiana. It's just that some people choose not to." Those words stayed with her that night. On this farm, with this quiet man, something was growing, something even stronger than the crops in the field. And Tiana wasn't sure what it was yet, but for once, it didn't feel like she was chasing a dream. It felt like she was finally planning one. The morning started with rain. Tiana stood by the window of the farmhouse, watching the drops fall gently on the fields. Everything looked softer, quieter. Cole had said they'd take the day slow since the soil was too wet to work. "Come sit," he called from the kitchen, where the smell of pancakes filled the air. Tiana smiled and walked over. She never thought she'd feel so at home in a stranger's kitchen. But Cole didn't feel like a stranger anymore. They ate together, talking about small things, like the best way to fry eggs, or how the chickens always escape the fence. She laughed more than she had in weeks. Cole wasn't loud or flashy, but he was funny in a quiet way. After breakfast, they cleaned up side by side. Their hands brushed once as they reached for the same dish, and both paused for a second. Tiana felt her cheeks warm. Cole looked at her, not saying anything, just smiling a little. The rest of the day passed slowly. They spent time in the barn, fixing a broken shelf and organizing tools. At one point, Cole handed her a hammer, and their fingers touched again. This time, the silence felt different, comfortable. As the rain cleared in the afternoon, they sat on the porch, drinking coffee. The sky turned blue again, and the air smelled fresh. "You ever think about staying?" Cole asked suddenly, not looking at her. Tiana looked at him, surprised. "On the farm? Yeah. I mean, you don't have to decide now. I just meant you've been a big help, and it's been nice having you around." Her heart beat a little faster. "I don't know," she said honestly. "I came here for someone else. Now I'm just trying to figure out what I want." Cole nodded slowly. "That's fair. But I hope you know, you're not just useful here. You're welcome here." Those words sank deep into her chest. No one had ever said that to her in this country. That night, she stayed up in her room, thinking. She had come to America hoping for love. Instead, she got rejection, loneliness, and a broken heart. But now, there was this man with dirt under his nails and kindness in his voice. He didn't flatter her. He didn't make big promises. But he showed up every day with honesty and quiet care. Was it too soon to hope again? She didn't know. But when Cole knocked on her door later that night, holding a bowl of warm soup and saying, "Thought you might be hungry," she didn't hesitate. She smiled and said, "Thank you." And for the first time since she landed in this new land, Tiana didn't feel like a visitor. She felt like maybe, just maybe, she was home. The days moved fast after that. Tiana woke up early each morning, fed the chickens, and helped Cole in the fields. The work didn't feel so hard anymore. Maybe her body was getting stronger. Or maybe it was because she was no longer doing it just to survive. Cole and Tiana worked side by side, sharing quiet jokes and small talks. Sometimes they didn't speak at all, and still it felt like they understood each other. One evening, as they were picking strawberries behind the barn, Tiana dropped one in her basket and said, "Back home, my grandma had a garden like this. She grew everything, pepper, tomatoes, bitter leaf. She used to make me pick them even when it was hot." Cole smiled. "Sounds like she was tough." "She was. And sweet, too." Tiana paused. "You remind me of her, in a way. Quiet but strong." Cole looked surprised, then laughed softly. Never been called a grandma before. Tiana laughed, too. For a moment, it felt like the kind of moment that lasts forever. That night, They sat on the front porch again. The sky was full of stars, the kind Tiana never saw back in the city. Cole leaned back in his chair and looked up. "You ever miss home?" he asked. "Every day," she answered. "But this place, it's starting to feel like something too." Cole turned his head slightly to look at her. "I'm glad." A soft breeze passed between them. Neither said anything else, but something unspoken hung in the air. Something warm and quiet and real. A few days later, Linda, the diner owner, stopped by to deliver eggs. She took one look at Tiana, who was sweeping the porch, and grinned. "You've settled in, huh?" Tiana nodded. "It's peaceful here." "Peaceful's good," Linda said with a wink. "Especially when the company's not bad either." Tiana blushed but didn't reply. Later that evening, Cole asked her to ride into town with him to pick up supplies. The truck ride was slow and quiet, the windows down, the air cool. At the store, he waited while she chose shampoo and a new pair of socks. When she reached for her own money, he gently stopped her. "I've got it, Cole. You help me every day. Let me help you." Tiana looked at him for a second and nodded. It wasn't about money. It was about care. On the way back, they didn't talk much. But when Cole pulled the truck into the driveway and turned off the engine, he looked at her for a moment longer than usual. "I'm glad you're here," he said. Tiana looked down, smiling. "Me too." She wasn't sure what this was. Not yet. But she knew one thing for sure. What was growing between them felt real. And she wasn't afraid of it. Not anymore. Cole was different that morning. Tiana noticed it right away. He wasn't talking as much. He stared off into the distance during breakfast, slowly stirring his coffee without drinking it. "You okay?" she asked, placing a plate of eggs in front of him. He looked up, surprised, like he'd forgotten she was there. "Yeah, just thinking." She didn't push. Cole was a man of few words, and when he wanted to talk, he would. But all day he seemed off. He worked slower, quieter. During lunch, he barely touched his sandwich. And when Tiana joked about the rooster chasing the cat again, he only gave a half smile. Finally, when the sun was setting and the sky turned soft orange, Tiana walked over to the porch where he was sitting. "You've been quiet all day," she said, sitting beside him. Cole sighed. "Got a letter this morning. From the bank." Tiana's heart skipped. "Is something wrong?" "Nothing too bad yet," he said. "Just a reminder. The loan's due in a few months. Farming's good work, but it doesn't always pay like it should." Tiana didn't know much about money and banks in America, but she understood worry. Deep down, she knew he'd been carrying this weight alone for a long time. "You'll figure it out," she said softly. "You always do." He gave her a tired smile. "It's easier now, having someone around. You made this place feel less empty." Tiana looked down at her hands. "I didn't come here expecting any of this." "I know," he said, "and I don't want you to feel like you owe me anything." She looked up. "I don't, but I do care." That last part came out before she could stop it. But once it was in the open, it felt right. Cole didn't speak for a moment. Then he turned toward her fully. "I care too, more than I thought I would." Tiana felt her heart race. This wasn't just about kindness anymore. It was about something deeper, something they both had been afraid to name. "When I came to this country," she said quietly, "I thought I'd find love through someone who only saw the color of my skin, who judged me before knowing me. But you see me. I see someone strong, smart, gentle." Cole paused. "And beautiful." The word hung in the air. Tiana's chest felt tight, but not from fear, from hope. They sat in silence for a while, watching the stars come out. Cole reached out and gently took her hand. Not in a rush, not with pressure, just holding it. "We don't have to rush anything," he said. "But if you ever feel ready, I'd like to build something real. With you." Tiana looked at him, her eyes soft. "I'm not running anymore," she said. "I think I'm ready." And just like that, without needing anything else, something real began to bloom between them. Not rushed, not forced, just real. The morning felt different. Tiana stood on the porch, watching the sunrise light up the fields. The sky was golden, and the air was cool and fresh. It had been almost a month since she first stepped on a Cole's farm. Back then, she was heartbroken, lost, and tired. Now she felt calm, safe. Cole stepped out with 2 mugs of coffee. "You beat me to it today." Tiana smiled. "Couldn't sleep. Too many thoughts in my head." He handed her a mug. "Good ones, I hope." She nodded. Yeah, good ones. They sat together on the steps, sipping in silence. The chickens clucked in the distance, and a breeze rustled the tall grass. Tiana had made her decision. She wasn't going back to the city. There was nothing there for her. This place, this farm, felt more like home than anywhere else. And Cole, he wasn't just a kind man anymore. He was someone she cared for deeply. Someone who saw her heart before her skin. Someone who stood by her when she had nothing. After breakfast, they walked the fields together. Cole showed her the new seedlings they planted last week. Look, he said, pointing. They're already coming up. Tiana knelt down, touching the tiny green leaves. It's fast. Things grow quick when they're cared for, he said, watching her. Those words stayed with her. Maybe it wasn't just about the plants. Maybe it was about them, too. Later that afternoon, Linda stopped by the farm with a small surprise, a pie and a big smile. Heard you two have been getting close, she teased. Tiana laughed, a little shy, but didn't deny it. She and Cole exchanged a glance. There was no need to hide it anymore. As the sun started to go down, Cole took her back to the hill behind the barn, the same spot where they had first sat together weeks ago. Remember this place? He asked. How could I forget? He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small wooden box. Tiana's heart jumped, but he didn't open it right away. You don't owe me anything, he said, but I know how I feel. And if you feel the same, I'd like us to build a life here. Together. No pressure. Just honesty. Tiana took the box and opened it. Inside was a simple necklace with a tiny heart carved from wood. Not fancy, not expensive, but full of meaning. She held it to her chest, eyes full. You didn't need to give me anything, she whispered. You already gave me everything I never thought I'd find. Cole placed the necklace around her neck. They didn't kiss. They didn't need to. They just stood there side by side as the wind danced around them and the sky turned orange once more. Because love, real love, didn't need big words or loud moments. Sometimes it just needed time, kindness, and the courage to begin again.